Welcome back to another New World video. This time we're coming in with the ultimate guide for the dungeon Lazarus, level 60 dungeon, just to start that one off for anybody who's never done this before. The quick reason why we're doing these guide videos, even though we're like 6 months into the game being released, is I'm still coming across plenty of new players coming into the game, new people to level 60, and they just literally just don't have a clue what to do. There's some old guide videos kicking out, you know, around YouTube and stuff like that, but I think some of them are a little bit outdated. And then bits and bobs of them could be like slightly improved and stuff with adding the new information. So hopefully I'm going to go through absolutely everything you need to know on how to even get into Lazarus, you know, what you're going to need for that, best weapons, worst weapons so you can do more damage, anything you can add to your armor so you receive less damage, and then basically little strats as well. We'll go through like a playthrough that we did. I did actually with a couple of randomers, so it actually doesn't go too well in there, but it's actually a good video to show you guys. So then you can see what strats do work and don't work, especially something for the end boss as well. So let's go through it all, and yeah, hopefully by the end of this video you know everything you need to know on how to do Lazarus. Okay, let's start with where is Lazarus. Okay, so again, if you're brand new to level 60 and you're not 100% sure, let's start this off nice and easy. Okay, so you're going to go all the way over to Reekwater, and then just above Reekwater here you've got the Lazarus fast travel shrine, and from there you can enter the dungeon, which is it's right outside the shrine. You can't miss it. Now, how to get into Lazarus other than buying a key from the global chats, which are a bit outdated now because people don't really sell the keys, they just give them away for free. You can get your stone cutting, I believe, all the way up to level 150, and you can make your own Lazarus tuning orbs. If you're not stone cutting level 150, you can also buy these from faction vendor as well. Okay, here we are at the faction vendor, and this is the same for all 3 factions. It doesn't matter which one you're in. For 8,500 faction tokens, which I can tell you now is pretty much 3 endgame-ish area level faction missions. You get these tokens so fast now, and then just 425 gold. Anybody wondering in this video, by the way, why people sell the keys? Like, you know, anybody want to join me for Lazarus? 400 gold per slot. It's mostly because they either paid for the materials so they can craft them themselves, they just want to get a little bit of that money back, or it's because they paid this and they just want to get that little bit of money back. That's all. So yes, you can pick these up. I believe we can just pick this up now just to show you as well. If we just buy this one now, there is a 22.4 hour cooldown, or this resets at 5 AM server time every day. Okay, now going back on how to craft them yourself, if that's what you want to do. If you go down to the Lazarus tuning orb here, like I said, level 150 stone cutting. You need 1 corrupted lodestone, which you can get from the corrupted portal farming, or you can buy from the TP. 1 Asmodeum chisel, which you can either buy from the TP or from the faction vendor as well. 5 rune stones, which you can make from, I think it's lodestone rocks that you mine, and you can, you know, you meld them with some rocks and stuff, so you can craft those yourself as well, or again buy them from the TP. And then the Lazarus core, is just basically made up from a couple of different ingredients here, which you can get mostly from the Genesis dungeon, which we'll go through in another video, and then some moats and stuff, but it's basically all here in stone cutting. Okay, now let's start off with what kind of gear you want to be wearing before you go in there. Again, this video is aimed at like brand new to level 60, so if you're like a 625, you know, warlord in this game, you'll understand this already. But essentially, for Lazarus, again, this is like an early game dungeon. You know, to come out with launch. Anybody over sort of 560, 570 gear score, you should be fine going through Lazarus. Ideally, the closer to 600 gear score you can get, the better. Obviously, that'll just reduce the damage that you're going to be taking overall from the mobs. But essentially, these are ancient mobs. So you can add things to your armor. For example, anything that has ancient ward on there. I'll pop something on the screen now. You know, you've got the Chardes set, which you probably won't get if you haven't already been into Lazarus, but you can get anything in your armor that has ancient ward. That will reduce your damage that you take from any of the mobs inside there. You could stack this on all 5, for example, and you could be reducing your damage by, you know, sort of almost 25%, which is huge. So yeah, definitely consider that. Most of the mobs inside there, like you'll see later on in the video, they do heavy physical attack damages, so the higher the physical armor you can get as well, the better. And now in terms of like weapon damage, I think we should go through this definitely. If we go into like the types, like I said, they are ancient earth, right? So we'll list these all up on the screen just so you can see these as well. But if the more damage you want to do as possible, you want to try and make sure that you are using where are we, strike damage void damage or lightning damage. Okay, so strike damage, for example, you've got like the Warhammer, and then obviously lightning damage, you can add the lightning gems to your weapons if you wish. And then obviously void damage, you got like void gauntlet and stuff like that. Now I do have a Warhammer here which I use for tanking, but one more thing you can also look for any of your attacking, so your weapons and stuff, is Ancient Bane perk there. See that plus 15% damage to ancients. So obviously not only does the Warhammer do strike damage, which I believe for ancients is plus 20% damage. Okay, I'll also be doing another plus 15% damage because of the Ancient Bane. And then obviously you can work around the gems and stuff. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail, but you could even pop a lightning gem on here as well, and then that way you could be stacking even more damage on there. There's a little bit of extra mechanics you have to work into that to know exactly how they work, but give or take you can add those as well. Also another thing you can do, I'll pop these up on the screen as well, you can get your infused or powerful ancient coatings. Now you can have a craft these yourself, arcane crafting, or you can buy these from the TP. Now let me tell you what these do. So you get these little bottles. I don't think I have any of them on me, but I'll pop an image up on screen so you know what they look like. I got some of the corrupted ones here, for example, but it's the same that applies, but essentially it's the one for the ancients, so we'll pop that up on screen like I said. But what these do is the powerful one, which is the tier 4, they will do plus 13% damage to the ancients, and then the infused one will be plus 15%. Now the only thing you might want to consider is the price. Now normally the infused ones, depend on your server, or normally anywhere from 3 to 8 maybe times the value compared to the powerful one. So it's like, do you want to pay, for example, you know, 20 gold for the powerful and do plus 13% damage, or do you want to pay, you know, 190 gold, for example? I'll just make up some prices. 190 gold, for example, and do 2% more damage and do 15% damage. So you can add those to it. And if you don't know how these work, essentially you need to put one of these on each of your 2 weapons. So you'll literally just get, you know, one of your weapons out, you'll consume the coating, and then you'll switch weapons and you'll consume the coating, and then that'll last for, I believe, let's have a look at the powerful one, that'll last for 35 minutes. And then I think the infused ones, 40 minutes, the infused one. So as long as you do it quick enough, you should only need to use 1 pop. But again, there's all the ways that you can stack your extra damage when you go into this dungeon. Losing my words. Into this dungeon. Right now, some of the weapons you don't want to use because you're going to be doing reduced amount of damage. Again, these are ancient, so you don't want to be doing slash damage, and you don't want to be doing fire damage. Okay, if you've got a fire staff, unlucky, you're not going to be doing too much damage in here. And if you've got, like, for example, a sword, or some of the other slash damage like hatchet and stuff, great axe, you're not going to be doing as much damage. So just bear that in mind. Okay, ideally you want to be going in there with like the Warhammer. That's a really, you know, that's probably one of the best weapons in there. You can obviously use an off weapon for your extra perks, like for example sometimes I'll use a spear because then you can use the spear for the rend, but then you always switch back to the Warhammer to try and do as much damage as possible. Right, so we've gone through so far all of the damage mitigations you can do, and we've gone through all of the increased damage aspects that you can do whilst you're in there as well, and we've gone through how to make a key and where to go to get in the key. So now let's get into the fight. All right, so here we have it. So like I said, I'm doing this with mostly randoms. There's one person from my guild in here. I think they're fairly new to level 60. But essentially, yeah, I'll commentate over this. I'll try and give you some strats. I'm going in as the tank here. I was a little bit unprepared because I didn't know this group was going to be here, but here we go. So we're going to go straight in. As you can see, I'm going to use my Warhammer just to try and gather a bit of, you know, bit of damage, a bit of aggro at the start. The main one slips through there, so I've got to go and grab him again. But yeah, so you're going to come up against 3 mobs here. This is like a mini boss here with the spear and the shield. Now, what these guys did, they ran a little bit too far in here across the bridge. Ideally, what you should be doing, you should be getting a ranged person to pull these first 3 mobs, so then they run across this bridge towards you, and then you're going to kill these 3 first, okay? The tank normally takes the big guy here. I can't really... Damisis, I think you pronounce his name, whilst the rest of the DPS and then obviously the healer can just pitch in, takes the 2 side mobs, and then just behind these 2 guys here is 2 more mobs, and then the 1 archer. We've accidentally pulled these because again this is a random group, so I think this is going to be a good one to commentate over because it doesn't go perfectly, so I can show you how things can go wrong or can go good. But essentially, yeah, you got 2 little sets of mobs there. You want to take the first group, pull them across the bridge with a ranged, and then take in the next 3, and then we run in here. Now I'm going to pause this just for a second because I want to make sure that you guys know sort of exactly what's going on here. If we get the right angle here we go. Now we're coming up to these doors right now. There's going to be 3 doors. The one to the right is technically closed. The one to the left is also closed. But then there's one in the middle here is open. Now, you can also see there's like a puzzle going on. So you've got some a puzzle on the floor with some symbols, and then above the door you've got 3 different rooms, or these circle areas, rooms for the puzzle. Now I'll try and quickly explain how it works if you don't know. So straight away, it's showing you a symbol here with it's kind of like a letter, but not really. And then as you can see, this corresponds here to this one. Now you only need 1 person to stand on this, and then this is how you progress the doors. So the first door opens here. Some mobs will come out. We're going to run over to those mobs. We're going to start taking them. Ideally, what the healers should do, because it's easiest for the heal to do, because they're going to be stepped away from the fight, they are going to be the person who steps on these floor panels here. Now you have to step on the one that corresponds to what is above the door. So if it's like an F, a P, an O, a V, you know, and then the other symbols that aren't really letters, that's the one you stand on next. If you're going into this incredibly brave and you know you can hold on to all of the damage and the aggro, what you can do these really fast. So this is showing this symbol. The healer could go straight away and press on this one, and what it'll do is it'll bring out the next wave of mobs. There's about 3 waves of mobs that come out here. If you step on the wrong one, it'll show you red and say that's not right, and then another wave will come out. So let's say if the next symbol was O, that the healer could then stand on O, give it a couple of seconds, the next wave will come out, and you can hold on to all of these, and then the next one could be like the V symbol, for example. You stand on V, and then eventually the door will close. If you can hold on to this, a couple of seconds after that door closes, all of the mobs will disappear. You can call it a bit of cheese if you want, or you can call it bravery if you're willing to do it. But we'll show you what we do, and then what happens then, you go into this left door here, which we'll show you, and then you do the same again. There's 3 symbols above the door. You can stand on all of them, or you can clear the wave of mobs, and just as you're killing that last mob, the healer stands on the next corresponding symbol. Okay, so I'll show you how we do it here. So we're going to start fighting, and we kind of do it mostly as normal. We don't do it the cheesy way, if you want to call it that, or the brave way. Good strat here to mention, right? So ideally as a tank here, give that tank just a second or 2 to grab the aggro, and then what I try to do, I try and maneuver them so they're all facing me and they're facing away from everyone else, so you can get the backstab damage if you're the DPS. I didn't really get a chance there. The DPS guy who just died, he just kind of ran straight in. He took a couple of heavy attacks and he went straight down. So as you can see here now, the healer is stepping on these symbols. We are ready for this next wave. The next wave comes out. We fight it, and then we move on. That's basically it. Now, a couple of these mobs do really maneuver, especially this Lazarus Reaver here. So even as a tank, you might have the full aggro. He'll just do one. He'll just run to... there you go. He'll just run away. Ideally, don't step on any of these symbols on the floor. Leave that area just to the healer, so 1 or 2 of these guys could be messing this up. Again, some of these people that we've done this with are brand new, okay? So that's why they're stood there, but do not stand there. Just let the healer stand there. We're going to clear the 3rd wave. And then once we clear this 3rd wave of mobs, you see one does one there. We got to go pick him up. Once we clear these 3 waves of mobs, we're going to then move over to the next door and fight them before we can progress into the final door, and we can leave the space. But yeah, this is it. It's quite a simple fight. These are heavy hitters, especially these spear guys with the shields. They're an absolute nightmare. They do hit a lot. As you can see here again, I'm trying to, when I was recording this earlier on, I was trying to think, right, I'm probably going to be commentating over this bit, so try and show it if I can on the video. So that's why you'll see me do little bits and bobs like that. Yeah, here we go. So we're fighting onto the next one. There's only 2 mobs that come out here, then the bigger waves, and then we're going to fight these. And once we get them all together, the healer, once you're at this stage here now, almost dead, the healer now, as you can see there, is stepping on the next symbol, ready. So then the next wave will come out faster. There we go. Then you can speed up the run a little bit. Once you come to mutations, which we're not going to really mention too much in this video, this is a method you would do here to try and speed up your run. But if you just want to take this slow, if you're brand new to level 60, you've got, I don't know, 550 gear score, you know, 560, 570. You don't want to rush this too much. Just give the tank a second or 2 to grab all of the aggro. Don't go like guns blazing. Now, one more strat I definitely want to mention for the entire Lazarus, and anybody who's experienced in Lazarus will tell you the same thing. DPS players, okay, take out the archers as quickly as possible in the entire fights, okay, all the way through this entire dungeon. Kill these archers as quick as you can. These archers, right, Lazarus, they do so much damage, especially if they're backstabbing you, even though it's technically not a crit, because PvE mobs don't do crits, according to the game developers in the forums. They still do a lot of damage. And if you're fighting 5 or 6 melees and you're tanking those, for example, then you're getting hit with archers from the back. Yeah, so always DPS players go. Look at this guy doing one. Always go for the archers first, kill them, and then move on to whatever the tank is holding on to, like the melee characters. But we're going to fight these now, and then we should get through. Another reason why I wanted to show you this video as well to commentate over, it's not a perfect run. A lot of YouTube guide videos for NewWorld and for other videos, they'll show you the absolute perfect run. And in my opinion, that doesn't help somebody who's brand new. And the reason why it doesn't help why it's brand new is if you see a perfect run, now when you're doing the run yourself and it doesn't quite go perfect, you'll probably panic and think, I don't know what to do. Now, coming into this next room here, there's a handful of mobs in this room, but you don't need to fight them all. If you're really, really lucky, you won't pull any mobs here whatsoever. Just depend on exactly where the spear guy and then the, I don't know what you'd call that, like a half skeleton on the floor, just depending on where they are, you might pull one or two. You can actually avoid these if there's nothing there. There's no need to fight the mobs in the other room. Nothing special drops. You got some moats in there if you want to pick them up, but there's no need to. It's not needed. You'll fight these two here, and then you'll pick up the first chest of the dungeon, which is just coming here on the floor now. Again, if you got any of your luck gear on before you open the chest, that's going to help. Get some of these decent drops in here. There's I think still the Biss, the best in slot healing staff, the life staff, sorry, is still from this dungeon. I think it's called Will of the Ancients. That's still the best. Now, this little part here, I'll just pause it just for a quick second. Now, you've got a portal door opener here, which will open the door that's in the background here. You've basically got one small mob, you've got the little boss Dolos, and you've got an archer. Everybody, well, maybe not the healer, obviously. All of the DPS players should go straight for the archer. Just kill him, get rid of him. The tank can take hold of these two, and then once you've killed the archer, come back over and join in the fight with the tank. Once the boss is getting, I'd say, last 30% of his health, healer, you should be fine to then go and I'd always use the healer for this. Go and hold on to this portal here in the background, and then that'll open the door that you can see in the background there as well, where there's one mob stood in front of the door, and then I think there's 3 mobs on the other side of the door. So we'll show you this now. As you can see, they've done it a little bit early here, and it's one of our DPS players. So again, not a perfect run here. The wrong player is actually doing it. The DPS could be helping us here do damage on this boss. Instead, they're kind of just wasting their they're wasting the DPS, and they've opened that door. Also, what that does now is there's a small chance if somebody pulls those with a ranged attack by accident, we now could be fighting the boss and 3 or 4 more mobs, which we don't need to be doing. You're making it harder for yourself. As you can see, that's exactly what's happened. We've now pulled this ranged spear guy, and he's now hitting us because again, somebody's been a little bit daft and they've pulled him for no reason. But again, this is not a perfect run. This is why I think it's good to commentate over and show you, so, you know, the good strats, the bad strats, what goes well, what doesn't go well. Right, so we're going to take this guy out now. Now, there's 1 or 2 mobs. See, there you go. Is it 1 or 2? I'm just going to see if they come through now. There's 1 or 2 mobs inside there. Again, big spear guys. Oh, there we go. 2 big spear guys with the shields and one bow. I'm tagging the bow guy here, the archer, as you can see. And I'm trying to tell the DPS, go and kill the archer first, please. Again, not a perfect run. And that's why all of the DPS, are 1, I think, are hitting the mobs I'm hitting, which don't need to. I can just hold on to these and tank. They need to kill these archers because those archers will do so much damage. I think the archer may even have hit that Mr. Paco guy there to take him down. Obviously, he's gone down now, so I'm going to just try and pull the mobs away. But obviously, they're going down pretty quickly. Yeah, so you know, we're doing okay. You'll fight these guys here, and then once you kill this last guy, the door will open here. Now, there's a mini boss in this door, but he doesn't spawn until we kill the first set of mobs on this platform that we're going to show you now. The boss will spawn there on the right hand side in just a moment. We'll kill these 2 guys first, because there's no point fighting 5-6 mobs all at the same time if you don't need to, especially if you're brand new to level 60. That's what this video was for, really. Anybody who's like brand new to level 60. We'll kill these first 2 mobs, and then we'll move down into the platform. There we go. Now on this platform, you've got 1 melee and 2 archers. I try and do this again for my team. I try and tag the 2 archers and say, go and kill them. I'll hold on to this Reaver guy, okay? Does it work? Not really, no. We still got people hitting the same mob as me. When you guys do it, get your DPS to go and kill the archers as quickly as possible. Now, once those 2 archers are down, an ideal place to be fighting now is in the middle of the platform, which we're showing you here in this background, the middle of this platform. Because once we kill this guy, hopefully we can show you. I'll pause it here now. You can see once this guy is nearly dead, okay, so they've gone a little bit early here, you send 1 player across this bridge, to speak to a future boss, Chardes, that we fight in a few minutes. You just gotta talk to them. It won't fight you. It's just to release the next part of the dungeon. One player does this now. There used to be a bug in the game. I'll mention it, even though you shouldn't really use it. But at this moment, the person who speaks to Chardes, if you then go into your main menu and do unstuck, it'll portal you back here, and you won't spawn another set of mobs. We didn't do this because we don't like to do the cheesy stuff too much, really, because it kind of ruins the fun. But essentially, yeah, one player runs across here, speaks to Chardes, and runs back over. As they run back over this bridge here, that'll then spawn the next round of mobs that we've got to fight. So you can see that they spoke to Chardes. Just as he comes over the bridge, boom, there you go. They all start spawning. You got some more archers, and you got some more normal melee mobs, the javelineers. Then we kill those. What I'd like to do is a tank as well. With my Warhammer as the secondary, I just like to, whenever I feel like, you know, confident enough, I feel like we should be okay to just try and do a little bit of DPS as well, trying to help out the team. Our DPS in general is pretty low because we don't have like a perfect team. It's just like a team full of randomers. Now at this moment here, you should see up here now, the boss is now spawned. This is our next boss. But also 2 mobs will spawn at the top of these stairs. If you fight close enough over here, you won't pull them. We've accidentally pulled them, so that's something you can look out for. That's why we're fighting a couple of extra mobs here at the same time. And once we fire through these, you should be able to see now. Right, best strat here now, since we've not pulled the physical boss himself, we'll kill this archer, and then we're going to grab the aggro of all of these mobs that are spawning around the boss, and we're going to take them through the door that we just came from, okay? I'll show you now. So I've tagged it there. We pulled the aggro. We're going to run just around this corner. The reason why is there's a couple of archers there. When you try and fight out in the open, you've got the boss, and we'll show you the boss mechanics in a minute. You've got the couple of melees that spawn from the boss, and then you got the 2 archers. It's an absolute nightmare. Even if you're a really good gear score, it's a bit of a nightmare because you're getting arrows from all these sides, melees, the boss mechanics. It's not ideal. Now, if you run all the way around here, the boss won't follow you here, but all of the mobs will. Ideally, you kill the archers, you kill these little mini mobs, and then we go back in for the boss separately. As you can see, we've just done here now. Mechanics on this boss fight. You want to try and do as many knockdown skills as you possibly can. Any big shield bashes and stuns, or any of your Warhammer abilities, and you just basically want to knock them down as much as possible. You'll spawn, I think it's 3 little mobs you'll see here. You should spawn 3 little mobs. Now these take 1 or 2 taps to kill, so don't worry about them. A little AoE, you should be fine. What I do want to show you here is the ideal thing to do is obviously tank facing one way. Everybody else be doing the back stab damage. You're doing extra damage. But look, he'll do this little protective bolt. Not very often will he do this. Essentially, you just can't hit him while that's there. It doesn't last very long. The biggest mechanic on this mini boss is he'll do this sort of like, I don't know what the actual name of an attack would be, but essentially he holds his staff up and a lot of blue like sort of air comes up, and then he launches it down on the ground. You have to dodge or block that depending on what kind of role you're playing. If you don't, I've seen that one hit people. Okay, even with decent gear score, I've seen that one hit people. So definitely watch out for that. It's basically just look for the blue swirls, and he'll do a big ground attack. You've seen it twice already in this fight, and you just want to block it or dodge it, and then you'll be absolutely fine. But if you knock him down as much as possible, you can't really do that ability that often. There we go. Move on here. Now we'll go straight through this door, and you'll see me tag an area right at the back. There's a couple of mobs in here. You want to grab the aggro, but then you want to take them behind the stairs. Similar to the other strat. Essentially, there's a bunch of archers in here, a bunch of melees. It's a little bit frustrating because they do a lot of damage. So you want to hide behind these stairs only for a couple of seconds, just to pull all the mobs in. And then what the tank will do, and hopefully I'll show you here, I'll grab as much aggro as possible. I'll turn all the mobs around so everybody can backstab damage. The archers are only hitting me, which I can hold if they don't kill the archers first. And then this is the best strat, because look how long it takes some of the mobs to get over here as well. And you can do all of this AoE damage, and it's a much smoother fight. As you can see, the health bars on the left hand side, nobody really getting crazily down. Do you know what I mean? We're doing okay here. Again, my group sadly isn't going for the archers first, even though I've typed it. I've even typed it in the chat, as you can see in the bottom left. Please kill the archers first. I asked them nicely, but hey, some of these guys are new, and I didn't know 3 of the people in this group, so I don't think I knew the healer, and I didn't know 2 of the DPS. Only one of the guys I knew from my guild. Yeah, you take out Palace. Once we've killed this guy, you'll see we go to these stones in the middle there. Big lit up stones, and every single player has to click on those, and it's called a cleanse. You cleanse you cleanse like a debuff off your character, which then unlocks you to be able to go and fight the Chardes boss. There you go, purifying Azov pool. We've got one more mob here to kill because we pulled the other mobs that spawn at that door. So we just fire through this guy. Once we kill the last mob, it'll unlock that door. And then we're going to go over to Chardes, which is the first... it's the first big boss fight. And it's got a couple of mechanics depending on how slow your DPS is. If your DPS is really, really fast... yeah, I've actually recorded this video in terms of, like, I've recorded the Lazarus fight a handful of times. And a couple of times we DPS'd it so fast, and it was a pointless video. I couldn't show you the mechanics. But yeah, we're all going to run over to the Chardes boss here. Make sure before anybody, well, ideally a tank, talks to Chardes, everybody's across this bridge, or else it'll lock you out. So you don't want to do that. Now, I'll try and pause that here as well. There are 3 areas here on the floor. I've pinged them all, and these are where these orbs will pop up. Now, this will happen 3 times, again, depending on your DPS. So, the quick rundown, even though we were going to watch the fight, quick rundown is, this boss will do heavy attacks, okay, on the tank. You'll see big, heavy ones. You want to, obviously, shield these as much as you can. Sorry, there's actually 4 orb areas. You can see here, these 4 circle orb areas. So, I'm trying to keep the boss doing his big attacks on me, and then not facing anywhere else. Now, even when you've got perfect aggro, this boss will chuck around a couple of range attacks, okay? If you're one of the healers or the ranged DPS, there you go, perfect from that player there. Just watch out for that. If he aims at you, just do a little dodge, okay, and you should be okay. Right, now, here's the basic mechanics now. As you can see, the ball is spawned. Let me do a little pause here, because I think this is the best way to explain it. The ball is spawned here. Now, any player can technically pick up this ball. You just go over to it and you press E. What happens is, though, you take a stack on you, 1 stack at a time. For each ball that you pick up, and basically this stack, it's basically like a rend essentially. When you pick up this, so let's say the healer picks this up, for example, which is normally a common one for the first one, you'll have a permanent stack of rend until the end of this fight, which means if the boss comes and hits you, you're going to take additional damage. Now, technically, 1 player could pick up all of the balls, like one by one during the fight, but that means you'll get a 2nd stack, a 3rd stack, a 4th stack, and it'll make you massively susceptible to getting 1 hit. So ideally, each of the 3 DPS and the 1 healer would pick up 1 ball each, if it even goes that far. Ideally, you only get to about 3 balls. We'll show you that now. Also, another thing to look out for as well. This is more for mutators, because you want to get as much DPS in as possible. You get these up here as well. You see this little logo here? That's basically like empowerment for the boss. The longer you leave it before you pick up this ball, the higher these stacks go. Most tanks will tell you anywhere between 15 to 20 is okay, depending on how good of a tank they are. Ideally, you look at this number above the boss's head. Once this gets to 15, again, depending on how experienced you are, maybe if this is your first time, 13 to 14 stacks here above the boss's head, then you pick up the ball, okay? And then that'll get rid of the empowerment, and then you start doing some DPS to the boss. So I didn't get a chance to tell these guys, leave it till 15, 16, 17. So they just did it. Now, at this moment here, even as the tank, you want to be doing as much DPS as possible. Essentially, the boss doesn't do any big spear attacks whatsoever. He does these little beam attacks, which you can mostly dodge, or just kind of walk around. So, obviously, if your tank has got a Warhammer, which they should do, just smash as much DPS as you possibly can. Now, this is ball number 1. Okay? You'll repeat these exact same steps of the fight all the way up, until ball number 2. And then once you get to ball number 3 is when the actual big boss mechanics come in. If your DPS is too fast, you won't even see these mechanics that we're going to show you in this fight in a minute. Me as a tank, I always like to go back to the original spot, just because I think it's easy for everyone to position themselves. Obviously, if any of these big attacks hit me, and my stamina's gone on my shield, they can't hit me over the wall and just insta-kill me. I can't really go anywhere. So I like to always run back to this exact spot. Each tank will probably have their own little spot, but this is my favorite. So we're looking at our DPS now, it's going okay. There you go now. 2nd ball is now spawned in the background, as you can see. And one of the DPS is going to pick that up this time. So now we've got 2 different players who picked up a ball. They'll both have 1 stack of basically rend, essentially, on each of them. So if they take any damage from the boss, they'll take a little bit more damage. Because not only 1 player has picked up both balls, no individual player has taken double the amount of damage. It's the best way. Right now, what you'll find here is, I knew on this video that our DPS was going a little bit too fast. So you'll see I actually start to slow down here, as you can see. And I stop using my skills as much. I stop doing the heavy attacks as much, because basically I want to show you guys on the video the 3rd ball. If your DPS is slow enough, you'll get to the 3rd ball, and then the real boss mechanics come in. It's a simple one, I can explain it, but I wanted to show you, because if we'd have hammered that DPS there, we wouldn't have made it to the 3rd ball, and you wouldn't have seen the mechanics. And again, what kind of a video would this be in terms of a guide if I didn't show you all the mechanics? So, oh, that Alexander there, he's took a lot of big heavy attacks. He was stood just to the side of the boss and not to the back. So obviously, to get the revive, I'm going to move all the way over here to clear that area out. We're just waiting for the third ball to pop up, and then we can show you these mechanics. But yeah, he's back up now. I think the third ball, I think, is just spawned to my right, I think. Well, it's about to... Yeah, there we go. He's just picked up... Now, on this third ball, here we go. What you now want to do is all of your team, which is not exactly what we do in this fight, because, again, a random group. All of your team wants to come close to the boss. Try and stay behind the boss compared to where the tank is. So literally like a, you know, a 12 and a 6 o'clock. Try and stay behind so then you don't take the attacks. But you need to stay as close as possible. And I'll show you why now. On the third ball, the boss will do this spin here, as you can see. You'll hear it. It's like a... I'm not going to make the noise in my mouth. It does a little spin. And basically, you... the best way to explain this is every single player then spawns a blue circle around where they are stood. As you can see here, our healer is stood all the way over here, which is a bad position. That means that a blue circle is now going to spawn around his feet. All of our blue circles are going to spawn around our feet. What you've then got to do is I can show you now. Once these blue circles spawn, see? The blue circle is spawned around his feet. Look at that. There you go. So you get a couple of seconds. I think you get like 3 or 4 seconds, and you have to run out of these circles. If you're stood in these circles, by the time they explode, they pretty much insta-kill you. I think even with a tank and a shield up, I think it pretty much insta-kills you. Right, so we'll show you here now. You have to run out of these. And then it explodes. Boom, there we go. And we got to make it out now. Next bit is here. Just after they explode, the boss... Now, this way gets a little bit random. The boss will fire either 1 or 2, normally, of these waves. You either dodge through the wave, which unfortunately this player didn't here, or you shield through it, which is what I do. Last thing to look out for. These little blue orbs here, which we get a little bit stuck on in a minute. These little blue orbs here. Try not to walk into those, because if you do, you get rooted, and that makes things a lot harder. There you go. See these blue orbs? I think I'm sure I get stuck in one of these in a minute. I'm pretty sure I do. We're going to come over to the boss now, because he should do 2 of these blue circle rings again. He only does this twice. Once you get to that third ball. And as you can see here, I get stuck in some of these blue balls. Just got to fully block. Hope he doesn't kick me off the edge. And essentially all we do, once you've done the third blue one, depending on your DPS, you should now just be able to just basically finish the boss off. But yeah, I purposely slowed DPS earlier on just to make sure we could show you this part in the fight. There we go. Look at it. 4th ball's gone up. We don't need it. We can kill the boss. There you go. Get your baggie. And then grab the chest as well. And then we move on to the next spot. Now, the next spot's quite interesting. So, there's different little builds and ways to do it. I think the most sensible one, I'll explain. As you can see here in the chat, I was trying to type, have you guys ever done Lazarus before? I was getting at this point that they hadn't. One guy, I think, replies and says once. Yeah. I had a feeling they didn't know how to do Lazarus because the heal wasn't stood anywhere near us and it doesn't really make sense. Right, on to this next part. You get a bit of a time trial here. A survival trial and a DPS trial. Now, as you can see here, there is one section here, one section in the middle, and then one section at the back. These doors will close off, so you need to split your team into 3. Okay, now the ideal situation is your fastest or best 2 DPS players will stand in this first zone, your tank will stand in the middle zone on their own, then your healer and the slowest DPS will stand in the furthest away zone. You have to stand on these little platforms. Once everybody stands on the platforms at the same time, like Amrine, it'll then close the doors, and you've got a time trial and a couple of different waves of mobs. I'll explain why it's the best to do this now. Because the process is, or the thoughts are, if your fastest 2 DPS kill the 3 waves of mobs from this door now opens and unlocks them to come in and support the tank. So we're just making sure everyone's right, yeah? Now, what I like to do, which I don't think is cheese, and the only reason why I don't think it's cheese is because if I, basically, once the door opens, I'm as a tank, I'm going to launch up these stairs, and I'm going to vault behind here. Now, some people will consider this cheese. The reason why I don't think it is, it's incredibly inconsistent. Sometimes one of the mobs will follow you up the stairs and start hitting you anyway, and then sometimes the archers will still hit you anyway as well. And there we go, you see there? There you go, doors are closed. Waves are coming. You got 2 minutes to survive. That's all you've got to do. I'm going to lie here. Now, the mobs can't quite hit me, but sometimes they can. So it's kind of like a little bit of cheese, a little bit of not, just a little bit of survivability. Now, you've got fights going on in each room, okay? You've got 3 waves of mobs in the bottom room, 3 waves of mobs in this middle room, 3 waves of mobs in the top room. Now, the strategy here is your fastest DPS are in the first room. If they clear those, it opens the door. They can come to our room. We can clear the first wave of mobs in our room, and then hopefully by that point, the end room, so the third room, which has the healer and the slowest DPS, they would have cleared theirs and opened this door. There'll still be some time left, but we don't want to kill all 3 waves of mobs in the middle room if we don't have to. Now, one person dies here, as you can see there, which kind of slows us down a little bit, but that's the theory, okay? The fastest 2 DPS, they clear that one, they join the tank. Once this door opens here like it is now, we all then move into the third and final room, which we've kind of done this backwards because the group doesn't work. We move into the third and final room, which is here, and we just wait out the clock, okay? We kill the 1 or 2 mobs that are available, and we wait out the clock. That's all we're going to do. And then the final door opens, and we can leave. That is the basic strat. I hope that makes sense. Also, comment section down below. Good time now if you like a different strat in this 3 room. Let me know. But I believe this is literally the best. Essentially, I'll skip this little part of the fight because this is it. We're just waiting for the time to run out, and then the door opens, okay? So I'm asking these guys now to leave that bottom floor because there's no need to fight them in that middle room. That's the point we were trying to avoid. Yeah, no need to fight them because these guys, again, they're brand new to Lazarus, so they didn't know. You have to fight these and get them wrecked. Right. Once you have killed those and you've moved this final room, you pick up your chest. Now, in this far room here, which is actually one of the rooms we were in earlier on, but it unlocks the door from another side, you're going to have a mini-boss, spear, and a shield. You're going to have an archer boss, and then I think 2 little small mobs. Now, one of the range players is going to tag the spear shield mini-boss and pull him through, and you don't aggro the rest of them, as you should be able to see here. Yeah. Asteris comes through, and basically you just DPS this guy down. He's a bit chunky, but if you do your big heavy attacks on him, the stamina damage should basically do him in, and then you can fight through this one. This one's pretty easy. We then move into the next room. We kill the 2 small ones, and then we kill the archer boss. And we move on to some more mechanics. But this bit's quite easy. There we go. As you can see, the 2 small. Like I said, this is the room that we were in earlier on. We've opened the door from another angle. There we go. Kill those 2, and then straight up onto this archer. Now this bit, it baffles me. You see that guy dying there? It really baffles me. DPS players on this game, right, who get all big and brave and go, you know what, I'm just gonna go run. I'm not gonna do my job. Just kill the ads first. In almost every MMO, kill the ads first. Let the tank take the boss, right? You get these little brave DPS players who go and run over to the boss, and then they get 1 or 2 shot because they're not the kind of players who should be holding on to the aggro, right? So that's why that guy got down there. But yeah, so we're gonna fight this boss here, and then we're gonna go and open this little door, and we'll do our little runway. So here we go. We just killed that boss. We're now opening the door. Now, on this bit, there is a little bit of a cheese way in this. It's not really needed. It's more used in mutators. But essentially, you're going to run all the way through here. You don't need to fight all these mobs. There's no reason to. There's no drops. So essentially, yeah, you're going to skip all of these mobs. You're going to run straight through. I think everybody does this. I wouldn't even call this cheese at this point. There's a respawn portal here. You can jump on this and gather this on the way through. Now, there's 2 ways people tend to fight these mobs at the end. For the people who do fight them, you can fight them just as we walk through this final door here, and you go up the steps. You can fight them all here, gather them all, just AoE them, or you can run through this door, hide around the corner, and pull them in. Now, I tagged up here because I'm going to show you an example. If you're doing this on mutators and you wanted to skip all these mobs, this is where you would cheese. Everybody in the group would come and hide up here, and all those mobs after about 10 or 15 seconds would all just despawn. We're going to fight them, so we pull them around this corner here, and we're going to tank them all in here. Really easy. Fight through all the mobs, and then we move on around this little mini corner, and we move on to the next bit. Okay, once we clear those, we're going to run in here. We're going to grab the aggro, but look, there's an archer over there. We're going to go straight for the archer. Kill this guy, because again, these guys do so much damage. Now, in this room, it's quite a simple fight here. You've got some mini bosses, and you've got some just, you know, archers and the sword fights. It's quite simple. But essentially, you've got, I think, 3 waves in here now. You kill all of these mobs, and then I think it's 2 big sword guys spawn. Kill those, and then there's another spawn where you get like a mini boss and some archers. You kill those, and you can move into the next room. It's quite a simple fight. We don't need to explain this bit too much. But yeah, essentially, always kill the archers first. Always. Leave the tank to the biggest mob that's in here. But as you can see here, yeah, we're gonna kill this guy, and you'll see them. They'll just spawn. So they'll spawn just outside the door, behind us. Oh, I hate it when these guys run away. I really do. You're gonna fight these here. Get rid of them. I just want to show you them spawn, and then we can move on to the final mini boss before the big boss. There we go. And as you can see here, spawn. Right, so you've got Are they both 2 archers, I think? Oh no, the 2 sword guys first, and then this stupid guy which just launches himself everywhere. You kill these, and then essentially one more time again, you get another little mini wave of mobs, and then you kill those, and this door will open. This little mini fight here is really, really simple. Doesn't need too much explanation and strats. There we go, we kill the final mob that spawns there. As you can see, I'm typing in the chat. Always kill the archers. Always. Now, onto the final mini boss, okay? And this is almost an exact repeat mini boss to the one we fought earlier on, where he spawns the 3 little mobs around him, and he has his big blue staff attack. So we'll show you this one now. Really, really easy fight. Again, you want to use your knockdown abilities, any kind of shield bashes or warhammer abilities, or anything you've got to knock him down, because it reduces the amount of times he can use his big blue staff attack. I'll hopefully show you here in the fight. You should see me blocking it mostly. He basically gathers up a bunch of blue energy, if you like, and then just smashes it down. Anybody who misses the dodge, here it is now. Boom, there it is. Anybody who misses the dodge or the block, I'm sorry. There's no excuses, because that lasts like what, 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds before he actually does his hit. So you can't miss that, okay? Now, important bit here. Once you've killed this boss here, this mini boss, tank picks up this ancient guardian heart here, which then unlocks the door to be able to run into the next boss. You've also got your chest over there as well. As you can see here, now watch, this will unlock the door. Everybody grab this chest. What is really, really important, and you're going to see this in this video, that's why it's a perfect guide video, perfect guide footage, should we say. You can let me know in the comment section down below if the guide video is okay. The tank has to then go into the final boss room first on this floor portal, okay? These guys don't listen. These guys have no idea because they are brand new. And watch this. Look at the healer. Look at the healer. Boom. Healer goes first. DPS goes second. Another DPS goes third. I'm now 4. Oh, no, sorry. I'm now 5th going in. The reason why that's important is, and we'll show you towards the end of this little boss fight, there's a huge beam attack. And that beam attack will, depend on how fast or slow your DPS is, will attack the person in order of who entered this room, okay? It is that simple, okay? We'll show you towards the end because it actually causes a wipe and it's kind of funny. So you place this down here now. Next little part, right, first mechanic of this boss, okay? Right hand side of the boss and left hand side of the boss. 2 balls of these, I'll show you now. 2 balls will spawn. So you can put all 5 players on this. You don't need to have anyone stood in the middle or anyone tanking or anything like that, because nobody can take aggro of this boss. It'll just hit everyone. You DPS these 2 balls down as fast as possible, and then you place them on the, I don't know what you want to call them, ball placements behind us. You want to place it on the left hand side of the arena first, and then the right hand side of the arena, and we'll go through that in a minute why. But here you go. The Lazarus barrier comes up. We take that down. 1 person can grab the ball on each side, and then as you can see here on the floor, you got 1 here on the floor and then 1 here on the floor. Now that's the left hand side as you're facing the boss over there. So we place that one first, and then this right hand side one we place second. See here, yeah, we place that one. That guy needs to go and place it. The healer, for some reason, he just, I don't know, I don't think he knows what he's doing. I think he's either new to the game, I'm not too sure, or yeah, but he's holding on to this ball and he's kind of doing it all wrong. He needs to go and place that on the ball placeholder. Not too sure. There you go. He goes and does it now. And the beam goes for him now. As you can see here, see this big boss beam? This will happen 2 or 3 times in the fight. It does quite a bit of damage now. It got buffed a couple of weeks ago in some patches. But essentially what happens here, once you get to a certain little part of DPS, the beam comes on the player who enters the dungeon first, okay? So I'm last, because these guys just ran in before me. The healer's first. This should be hitting me, the tank. I can hold up my shield, have a little bit of a heal on me. No damage, right? Once you get this beam anyway, whoever has this beam should be the tank. Once you get this beam, you're supposed to run to the left ball first, okay? And there's a reason why. Oh, this guy again. But you run to this left ball first, okay? And then when the beam comes the second time, you run to the right ball. And the reason why is these little left area zone and right area zone will be closed off by the boss incrementally in the fight. He always closes the left-hand side first. If your DPS is really, really, really slow, and you need to pick up another ball, like a third ball, then if you use the right one first, then you run out of balls because he'll close that spot, if that makes sense. We'll show you in this fight anyway, essentially. Well, there you go. He's supposed to do it in this left one first. There you go. Boss will come down. At this point, it's just a free-for-all. Do as much damage as you absolutely can. As much DPS as possible, because this is where the boss is most vulnerable. He can't do any attacks or nothing. In terms of the general boss attacks here, He just does some general slow sweeping. You can block it and you can attempt to dodge a little bit. He doesn't do massive heavy damage here. If you watch the boss, he just does these like sweeping attacks. If you look at people's health, it doesn't really affect them that much. Unlike when the game first launched, there's no little safe spot for the range players. So basically everyone has to come in fairly close. But this is it, really. It's you know, it's a fairly simple fight. There's not a lot going on. The boss doesn't do any crazy mechanics. As long as you follow them in the right orders there, as you can see the balls on the right hand side, they have respawned. If you wish to take a third ball or a fourth ball, if your DPS is that slow, we'll show you here. It's just a basic fight. And then this will happen. Eventually the beam will come out. We'll close the beam on the right placement. And then I want to show you, I want to skip a little bit and show you what happens now. Because if your DPS is slow enough, once you get the third beam, this will basically wipe the entire group if it kills the healer first, okay? As long as the healer is at least last, you should be fine. But let's show you that. All right, we're getting close now. The boss is coming towards the end. Because the DPS is quite slow, he's going to hit this third beam. And I'm just going to get you ready for it because it's pretty funny how it happens. The third beam, like I said, should come onto the tank. The tank enters first. The healer entered first here. So this is why it wipes everyone. Now, the ideal strategy is when the beam places, the tank just uses a defiant stance, you know, your fortifying shield rush. You can use your, here we go, beam. Look at this, watch now. It'll hit the healer first, because he entered first. Now watch everybody's health. Now because the healer dies, and there's nothing you can do to take the aggro of that, it'll just always hit the person who comes in first, and then it'll go in order as well. That's why I'm almost last. There you go, healer's dead. Now, problem is, nobody else can tank that. Look, even when it comes onto me, I get my defiant stance ready, I get my fortified and shield and rush ready. I can't pot through this. Now, if there's just one fortified and one sacred ground on my feet, I'll survive through this like we do when we run it the second time. But everybody dies because they all ran in the store before me. And as you can see when I'm typing the bottom left here, that's why you listen. Let the tank run in first. That caused the wipe, okay? That's literally pretty much the only way you can wipe in this final boss. Now, I obviously won't bore you by showing you the whole fight again. What I will do, though, is just skip towards the end, if we can find it. And show you how it should be done. Okay, we get in there. Get in there. Okay, it should be coming up. Here we go now. Beam is on me, so I'm the tank. So I've used my fortify and shield and rush to reduce my damage taken. I'm using my defiant stance to reduce my damage taken, and I popped the regeneration potion to keep up my heals. Now, as long as the healer just keeps up some straight, you know, decent healing on me, should I say? Straight healing, decent healing on me. I can just survive through this. Most tanks will. Only if you're a really weak tank would you not, you know, survive through this. That's it. And then as you can see, the DPS, they can just finish off the boss, and that's how it should be run, so long as the tank enters first. It's that simple. Well, here we go, guys. This is, we'll leave this run on the background as we finish. This is the Lazarus Ultimate Guide. I hope I've included absolutely everything. We've included what level you need to be, what kind of gear you need, especially to reduce the amount of damage you take against the Ancients, what kind of weapons you want to use so you do the most damage, any little pots and stuff you can take in there so then you can increase your damage. We've shown you the strats of the entire dungeon. We've shown you how to make a key to get in or to buy a key. We've shown you, hopefully, I've shown you absolutely everything you need to do to complete a Lazarus run for the first time or second time, whatever it is, nice and smoothly. And as always, guys, if you want to drop my Twitch a follow, that would be amazing. It's just twitch.tv/LiamH. I'll put the link up on the screen. And if you want to drop a like on the video, that'll be amazing. A sub on the channel, that'll be even better. And some comments down below if anything you would like to add to this video or anything you found funny in this run. I know it's a bit of a long video, but anybody brand new to Lazarus, I hope this is really helpful. But guys, look, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and we'll be back for some more in the very near future.